Animal Crossing New Horizons is my first Animal Crossing game, and
Same.
I only bought it because a guy that I was talking to on Tinder at the time said that he was excited about it, and this was like 2 days after it came out. And I was like, do you recommend it? Like, okay, like
That's
I'll go check it out.
amazing,
It could be
Lex.
something else we could talk about. I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to relate to him. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'll go pick up this game and I'll see what it's about. Ended up falling in love with it. I actually checked. We were friends on the Switch, and when I hit like 1,000 hours, I think he was at 155 hours, and I was
Oh
like,
my
okay, so
goodness.
one of us definitely became more obsessed.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Gamers Gab, the podcast by gamers for gamers. I'm Artsy from the Artsy Gamer. I make art, I play games, and I encourage others to do the same. And joining me today is another cozy Animal Crossing content creator known as Lex Play. Love that. Thank you so much for your enthusiasm. Lex, before we get into our conversation today, which revolves around financial stability in content creation, specifically on YouTube, would you please do an introduction of who you are and also your pronouns, please, and thank you.
Yes, I am Lex. I use she, her pronouns. I am a 24-year-old from North Carolina in the US. I started my YouTube journey in 2020, near the end of the year, actually. And it's funny because then I thought that I was like nearing the end of Animal Crossing content's lifespan. And here I am 2 years later, as a successful channel. So wish I could go back and tell myself that it was worth it because it was in fact nerve-wracking at the time.
That's amazing. I will have to say that your conversation about how YouTube, I guess we can just get into the main talking points. And also your pronouns are she, her, is that what you said?
Yes.
Awesome. You had mentioned, and it really just, it was like an earworm for me, that YouTube brought you and your family out of poverty in 2021. How did it do that?
So I guess a little background is necessary first. So my parents have always been low income for like the past 15 years or so. Like we've really struggled. I mean, we've had some particularly bad times. I'm talking poverty, like ran out of toilet paper and had to use socks
Mm-hmm.
times, like bad. And part of it is that my dad is disabled. He's diabetic and he lost one of his legs.
Oh, wow.
Um, and so he has been fighting for disability from the government for like 4 or 5 years. And while he was, not on disability, he was not guaranteed health insurance. And so he's on all sorts of different medications, namely insulin, which is notoriously expensive. And if my mom got a job because they're married, it would have taken away his health insurance
Oh
too.
my
So
God.
my dad couldn't work because he was disabled. My mom couldn't work because then my dad would be at risk of dying without his medications.
Mm-hmm.
And so we basically were surviving on food stamps, government assistance for literally years. I mean, the entire time I was in college, I was trying to buoy my family with just my scholarship. So I had about $1,500 to spare each semester, thanks to like work study and everything.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That was supposed to help my entire family. We had, and it wasn't always, great family relations either. Like, I don't want to paint myself as like the best person. I got into fights with them about like taking my scholarship money when I was out by myself. Like, I could barely support myself. I was only, late teens, early 20s. I couldn't do this by myself. It was really tense. So I ended up, that's actually my scholarship money is how I ended up buying like my capture card and everything for YouTube. I had barely any money left. I hadn't had a job. This is like 2020 during COVID.
Yeah,
Um,
wow.
I ended up spending some of the last of my meager savings to get the things that I needed to make videos. And I didn't go into it necessarily expecting to make enough to live on, but I was like, hopefully, once I start YouTube, if I get to, the 1,000 subscribers, if I get to the watch hours, etc., maybe
Mm-hmm.
I could at least make back some of what I've lost this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and people who have been around for a long time for my social media back when I was just on Instagram. I mean, I used to sell like presets and stuff. I was doing anything I could to, get any sort of money to help my family. Because I mean, I also have 3 siblings, all younger than me. And at the time, none of them had jobs either because they were 16, like 10, and
Wow.
12 or something. So the YouTube was kind of like it was a way for me to have a community during this time when I felt really alone and isolated aside from my siblings. And then it was also, this pipe dream, like, oh, I could make money here potentially one day. And then after I made my channel, my life literally imploded, right? So I made my channel in October of 2020. I made it, I think I made the channel on October 3rd or 4th. Uploaded my first video on the 10th or 11th. I was monetized by October 30th. That was how fast my channel grew and was approved. Literally within the month. And my very first month, I'm not weird about talking about finances. The first month I got paid was November. Because I think there's the $100 payout is necessary. You have to have made at least 100.
Yep.
So between the last 2 days of October that I was monetized and the first full month of monetization, I made about $6,500.
Holy moly, Lex. Wow.
That was, I mean, I'm not kidding when I say that was life-changing. It might sound silly to some people, $6,000 making a life-changing difference, but I mean, we were coming from nothing.
Yeah. Holy crap. Lex, I mean, whew.
Mind-boggling. And that was when I think I realized, I was like, YouTube isn't just an opportunity, like this could be a career if I wanted it to be. So that first month, I think I got to 10K subs by the end of November, and I was like, well, this is happening. Like, I'm not I started out thinking, if nothing else, it could be fun. By the end of November, I was like, I might become dependent on this. So that was just, I don't even know how to describe it. Just being able to like buy my siblings good Christmas gifts that year.
Yeah.
It felt like the biggest privilege that I'd ever had the honor of experiencing. And I don't know, it just opened my eyes to all of the opportunities that are in place online. You think about content creators and how people get rich online and stuff, but that doesn't feel like something that really happens. It's almost like it just happens to those people that you see on like TikTok and YouTube. For it to happen to me, to be able to get any money at all like that, just, I don't even know how to describe it. I'm still just boggled by the fact that that happened.
Yeah, I'm actually like my mouth, my jaw is literally on the floor from your story and I'm trying to figure out how to like segue this to the other questions. I mean, I think what's really fascinating is, I mean, I started playing Animal Crossing the time that you started monetizing. So it's like I started playing the game rather late, and I started my channel rather late. And so it's mind-boggling to hear how the early months of Animal Crossing really did set the tone and set the like paved the way for a couple of content creators to really change their financial situation in their lives. And I know that when I talked to Pat and Zach in episode 2 of Gamers Gab and talking about success on YouTube, I didn't ask about finances because it just didn't seem part of the conversation at the time. But Pat was like, I decided to make the switch over to YouTube because it matched or made more than what I was currently doing, and I wanted to do that. So I don't think people realize how the momentum really did just change lives in a really amazing way. Like, Lex, holy crap, that's amazing.
I know. I shared this success with my parents at the time after college. I had planned to move to the capital of North Carolina, Raleigh, but coming out of college, I mean, I graduated when COVID started.
Oh my God.
So there weren't job opportunities at that time. I'm an English major also, which is hard to find a job for in general, assuming that you don't have, extracurriculars. So, that kind of just dashed my dreams of moving out, kind of going out on my own. So from 2020, when I started my channel and everything, I was living at home with my parents. And so they were here. They got to like witness, this early growth for my channel. And I think my dad really summed it up well. We were talking about it and he was like, I thought that you only made money on YouTube if you were one of the people getting, millions of views. Because I want to be clear, like it wasn't like that. I wasn't getting, hundreds of thousands of views super early on in my videos. Like there was definitely an uptick at Christmas. I was really grateful to be getting, like an average of like 40K views on my videos. That was wild.
Yeah.
But it was eye-opening to know that that level of interest in my videos was enough to survive on. Like that could be a job. Like that blew my dad's mind. He was like, I figured, you could make like $100 a month maybe making videos. But to see, making over 100 a day, that was wild.
Yeah, and I know that each state in the United States has a different like level of income in order to live on, and I don't. I have family in North Carolina, but I don't know whether or not it's quote unquote cheaper to live in North Carolina than anywhere else, like say Northern Virginia, where it's really expensive. So I can only imagine with you and your family having to truly figure out a way to survive using, socks as toilet paper, that the money that you were starting to get, it was, you were able to transform your life literally overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think the cost of living in North Carolina is particularly high, especially compared to some other states. I feel like we're pretty average.
Yeah.
I guess it definitely depends on where you are. Like I do live in Raleigh now. I did eventually make it here. And the cost of living here is higher than it was in my hometown with my parents because we
Yeah.
lived in a more rural area. So, a lot more chill out there versus being in a city. But in general, it's pretty low even here.
I guess this would be a really great segue to my next question is, you were saying that you didn't need to have those hundreds of thousands of views in order to be making the money that you're making. But how financially stable has YouTube been for you since, 2021, when you started putting, making that momentum financially? And then the second follow-up question is, what steps have you taken to ensure stability as the trends have changing, like, Animal Crossing kind of toning down a bit?
Yeah, so stability wise, definitely don't recommend YouTube. I mean, my income changes by thousands of dollars every single month. Like
Wow.
I think something that people assume is that the more subscribers you have, the more money you're making. Not true. I made more money that first month with 10,000 subscribers than I did this month with 164,000 subscribers. You know, Subscribers are great, and don't get me wrong, I am so grateful for the community that I've built here. But money wise, it depends pretty much solely on views, not just the number, but how long people are watching your videos. Are they engaging long enough to see multiple ads? That's what generates revenue, is the views themselves, not just like having followers. So stability wise, not great. But it's never fallen below like a level where I could support myself. Like I haven't been at a point with YouTube where I was like, okay, I really do need to get, like a second job in order to continue supporting myself. I'm still 100% dependent on my YouTube income to survive, and it is paying the bills. So
Wow. And what steps did you take to ensure the stability from that?
I think so. I'm not good at gauging, trends in terms of like what should I be playing, etc. I do focus mostly on Animal Crossing, even as the community interest in videos sort of declines. I feel like I mostly just kind of gauge what my audience enjoys. So I'll look back at videos that were successful recently and I'll be like, okay, how can I replicate that sort of interest? Like, what is something adjacent to this that people would also like to watch? For example, I made a Nookazon video, and it's the only video from the past like 2 or 3 months of mine to hit 100,000 views. And I was like, oh, so people are interested in Nookazon still. Just that kind of thing, trying to figure out what exactly still brings people in, because you don't want to just target people who are actively playing Animal Crossing. Ideally, since a lot of people have quit, I'd love to see, views from people who don't necessarily play every day anymore, people who would just like to get, these little updates like, oh, that'll make me nostalgic, things like that.
Yeah, I actually find it really interesting that this is nothing related to trends or anything, but the Reddit community for Animal Crossing is still really new. I mean, people are asking 2020 questions of like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I don't want to be that person that's like, have you checked out YouTube? And all of my friends who are making content and answered this question like 2 years ago, I guarantee you're gonna love it, but I can't do that. And so I totally understand that. I'm not a trends chaser either. I don't feel that really fits my vibe, and I can't really figure it out. And so I do what you do. I think is that I try to do things that I enjoy doing and seeing what performs well. But it seems that you really, I don't want to say you have it figured out, but it seems that for your channel, you have continued working on the momentum. And how do you think your business model compares to other content creators who are not financially dependent on their success on YouTube?
It's funny because I don't know that I even have a business model. I honestly wouldn't even know where to start. I guess for one, it's that because I was lucky enough to be able to depend on YouTube very soon after I started creating content, and I was at a place in my life where I wasn't able to find another job. I don't have other responsibilities. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I do. Like, there are things that I'm working on outside of YouTube, but I don't have, this like full-time job. I don't have a 9 to 5 that's, eating a lot of my time. So I don't come home exhausted and have to make YouTube videos. I can do them as I feel like it in the day. I kind of shape my own schedule and everything. And I think that helps a lot, just not even a strategy, but the fact that I do have that free time. Like, I'm very lucky in that sense that I don't have to worry about another job on top of this.
And how has this will be a fairly personal question, but how has the impact with your family been from your financial stability on YouTube?
So now, like I said, so I moved out from my parents' house. My siblings are actually here at my apartment right now. They're one room over waiting for me to finish the
I like
podcast.
siblings. Hello.
Yeah, they're visiting. But I did end up moving because luckily my dad was finally approved for
That's
disability.
amazing.
And so now my mom is a lieutenant at the local fire department. She's employed again. My sister is a firefighter. So there are multiple streams of income now at the house. So I felt, I didn't feel like I needed to be there anymore for them to survive. But in 2021, yeah, for sure. I mean, I was the one who helped out, getting the kids school supplies, making sure they had new clothes. And beyond that, I feel like it really helped that I was able to help with their mental health, like with the kids. Whenever I was their age, I didn't get the things that I wanted. I didn't get these little, random things like game systems or my favorite books or anything. We were broke, but I've been able to buy them. Not everything, but a good amount of the things they like. Like, I've helped Peaches collect Squishmallows, tiny things like that. And I feel like that's made the greatest impact on my family, is not just, being able to cover their needs, but introducing some of the wants that they otherwise wouldn't have had. That I'm really grateful that I was able to do that for them.
Peaches was because for those who don't know, Lex found a non-binary Squishmallow and had offered it to the Squishmallow group, and I was so happy to take it. And so Peaches is the one that refers to me as the Squishmallow friend, right?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Lex, I have to be perfectly honest. This conversation has me in awe. Like, I'm just like, I cannot imagine. And I come from a place of, roughly middle class privilege. So I always knew where my next meal was coming from. I always knew where, you know, I never really had to be concerned about the bills being paid, and I effectively didn't have, like, I worked because I wanted to as a teenager, like to ensure, you know, making developmentally appropriate choices. But you had mentioned that when you were your siblings' age, that you didn't have that stability that it seems that they are getting now, and, you know, being able to treat them to really nice gifts has become a thing that you very much enjoy. Is there any healing involved with the fact that, you know, you basically gave your family the platform to, you know, get back on their feet and, you know, be part of that?
Yeah, it's been interesting because in a lot of ways, you know, the provider is usually the parent. And so
Mm-hmm.
for our situation to be flipped for several years, you know, from my college years when they were kind of semi-dependent on me sending home what little I could from my work study job to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, having this YouTube channel and providing a good chunk of needs and wants in the home. It's been weird kind of navigating that because on the one hand, like I haven't stopped seeing my parents as my, you know, parental figures at all. And you know, sometimes we've had discussions about it, about how, you know, like my mom feels bad that she had to rely on me, that I felt that level of responsibility. But I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for me, like I said, it's been an honor. Like I should specify, my young childhood
Mm-hmm.
was phenomenal. Like back
Mm-hmm.
before my dad was suffering with diabetes and everything, like we were financially stable back then. Everything was fine. And so it's good for me to see, you know, my siblings basically getting that, but in their adolescence, the years that they're going to remember well are going to be years when they weren't struggling as
Mm-hmm.
much financially. Like, we're not in a perfect place. I don't know if we ever will be completely as a family, but it's just so much better now. And so that's just been so good to see. I definitely think that there's been healing because I get to see, you know, my siblings at an age that I was so scared all the time and so worried about money. Literally, as you know, like a little 12-year-old girl,
Yeah.
I was so stressed out about it, you know, wasn't sure if I could afford the $25 fee for a field trip, things like that. It is so beyond relieving to know that my siblings probably don't even think about that because they're like, if, you know, the parents can't afford it at this time, if they're like not in a great place today, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Lexi can pay for it. Like I'm sure Lexi will help. It's just good to know that they're not going to feel that desperation. It's it's healing for me, for my inner child, to know
Yeah.
that they as children are okay. They're fine.
So does that mean that you have plans for continuing YouTube in the long term, or has it just been that stepping stone for financial stability to let you pursue other options?
Oh, I would love to. You're gonna have to pry my cold, dying fingers from this platform before I'll leave.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'd love to do this long term. I'd only quit if it became completely, you know, not viable, if I had to turn to another job and I just no longer had the mental capacity for both. I
Mm-hmm.
do plan to stay here as long as I can, though. I mean, I love my community and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I can afford to right now.
Yeah, is so I love your content, Lex, and it's very clear that you put a lot of love and energy into your channel. Um,
You're very kind to say so.
Listen, Lex, I know a baddie when I see one, but
Oh
I'm
my
really
God.
curious if it doesn't become financially viable, um, does that mean that Lex Play is going to become, not, I don't want to say null and void, but like in the sense that it seems from what I'm hearing is that financial stability is the main driver, aside from enjoying, you know, Animal Crossing and the like, that it is the main driver for maintaining your YouTube channel. So I don't want to stress you out because it's very clear that financial stress has been a prevalent part of your life. If the business model changes where it's not financially viable as much as it is now or at all, what would happen with Let's Play?
I wouldn't say that money is the main driver so much
Okay.
as it just like guarantees that I
Mm-hmm.
will be here because I
That's fair.
can be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, I would, even if it became not so much of a moneymaker, I would
Mm-hmm.
like to think that I'll continue making videos as long as I have the time and, the daily spoons for it. And I mean, before I ever made a YouTube, I was on Instagram and in that community
Mm-hmm.
for months. So I like to think, even worst case scenario, I don't have time to make YouTube videos anymore. I'd still be around on other platforms. I mean, I'm on Twitter
Mm-hmm.
24/7 and
Yeah.
Elon Musk is doing his best to destroy that. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
would I would definitely be around on some kind of social media because this community, just the people I've met here, have become so essential to my daily life. I chat with
Mm-hmm.
people every day and it's not just for fun. It's like a habit. It's something I expect every day is to be able to interact with everyone. So I'll be around somehow, some way.
I think it's really interesting that I feel like we come at content creation from two different sides because I came onto YouTube mostly for mental health reasons, right? And I really strive to not put numbers to what I do, and now that like I've gotten a taste of it, I'm like, oh, but this feels awesome though. And so
Hmm.
I'm really curious from your perspective, like what are the impacts of mental health having recently achieved such a remarkable goal? And we can follow up with that by what concerns or hopes do you have short and long term. But let's start with like the impacts of mental health and we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I have anxiety, like I have a general anxiety disorder, and so I've
Mm-hmm.
struggled with that
Same.
since at least early high school, probably middle school too, if I'm being
Mm-hmm.
honest with myself. And I feel like just having, like I said, it's not necessarily the most stable job to have because you can just not predict what people are going to do. You can't force views on a video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Despite that, that is definitely, an ongoing worry. Like, oh my gosh, am I becoming irrelevant in the Animal Crossing community? I say that, laughingly. I know it does. I
Mm-hmm.
just enjoy being here, but
Mm-hmm.
I think overall it has had an amazing effect on my mental health. I mean, for one thing, I know, self-image and mental health are different, but they do go hand in hand sometimes, and this has helped me become more confident in myself.
That's
Like,
amazing.
just being able to talk to so many people, having, positive feedback on my videos. I used to hate my voice. I mean, I hated it because this specifically, I know why I hated it. When I was on Xbox Live, one time I was on Call of Duty and I was talking and
Oh
someone
no.
mistook me for a man. And when I said that I was a girl, he said, "No way, you have a dude voice."
Oh
I
no.
internalized that. I was like, I have the worst voice that a woman could have, and now I know that's ridiculous. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter anyway. But even if it did, like, I'm fine. I don't have a terrible. I just have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
But having people who have been like, "Oh my gosh, your voice is so soothing," or "I love
Mm-hmm.
watching your videos. I just like to hear you speak," that has just, I don't know, it's like changed my perspective. Like, it just really emphasizes how subjective everything is. That there will always be people who don't like my voice, but the fact that, people can, that's enough. That's enough that people can like my voice. So, just little things like that have changed my perspective on myself. And I feel like this
Mm-hmm.
channel has really helped me to grow, to become more personable, and honestly, to become kinder as a person the more I get to talk to
Mm-hmm.
people and like hear other stories. So, in all of those senses, it has been great for my mental health. And then concerns. I mean, money would definitely be one. It's always a concern. I don't know that people who grow up really poor ever really stop worrying about it.
Yeah.
once you've felt poverty, it kind of it sticks to you. It's an ongoing fear. And so even though I have it good now, that's always a concern. I'm like, even outside of YouTube, what if I can't find a job aside from this? You just never know. That would definitely be a concern. And then hopes. I mean, I hope that I can just continue to do this. And I hope that even if, like we said, even if it's not financially, like something that drives me, I hope that I'll continue to be here as a YouTuber because making videos and everything has just been, I don't know, it's been such a great experience. I've learned so many new skills that I didn't expect myself to ever have. Like in college, I literally told my friend, one of my friends wanted to do YouTube. And I told her, I was like, I could never. Like, I hate the whole idea of video content.
Yeah.
And look where I am now.
Did you send them an apology card saying I was wrong? My bad.
Oh no, we're still like really close friends. So, we just joke about it sometimes. She's like, look at you. Like, look at you making video content. And I'm like, I know. Who would have thought?
Oh my God. So Bringsbane, who is one of the Artsy creatives, thank you so much, Bringsbane, says, Lex, you do not have a man's voice. That person had a massive earwax in their ear canal. So if there's any sort of reminder that you have a beautiful, melodious, lightly accented Carolinian accent, it is delightful. So
incredible. Thank you.
You've mentioned that you didn't really have a business model or don't have a business model for YouTube. If you had anything to suggest or to add to somebody or who is trying to figure out the financial goings on of making YouTube content, what would your suggestion be with starting out? Asking for a friend.
And you said like for people who do want to make it a financially successful venture.
Yeah.
I've always said this, even back in the day when I was just on Instagram, occasionally new accounts would pop up and they would be like, hey Lex, like I see that you have found success in the community. What do you recommend? I have always suggested that you just be a sincere member of whatever community you're trying to join. Cross-platform especially is so important. Like after I made an Instagram, I made a Twitter because, people were over there that weren't on Instagram. I got to meet a completely new side of the community. There's a different side of the community on Reddit. This is true for any community. You're going to find different people on different platforms and making different sorts of content. You have to figure out what kind of content is best for you. You have to interact with other people making that content and not in a way, you can't just go out seeking, people to help you boost your videos. It's obvious when people do that. And I'm going to be honest, like I don't humor it. I block people. I will delete messages from people who are just blatantly trying to like get onto my platform to boost their own. You can tell when someone is genuinely looking to become a part of the community, and you need to do that. You need to understand the community and how they interact with each other if you're going to become successful there. And that's not to say you have to like camouflage yourself. Be yourself, be genuine to whatever your brand is or whatever your personality is. But it definitely helps to, make friends so that you can get to know the community a little better before you consider it in a financial way.
I guess from what I'm hearing is that cross-platforming is something that I've never considered. I never considered doing it in Animal Crossing Instagram. What is that like, by the way?
Just like doing cross-platform stuff?
Well, the cross-platforming stuff, sure, yes, but also like Animal Crossing Instagram. I've never done that.
So that was where I started content creation because literally just a friend made a passing comment. I was really into one Discord server. There was a Discord server for my university, people at my university who play Animal Crossing.
That's
that
amazing.
Was the server. So that is where I like started talking to other people who play. I've told people this before. Animal Crossing New Horizons is my first Animal Crossing game, and same. I only bought it because a guy that I was talking to on Tinder at the time said that he was excited about it, and this was like 2 days after it came out. And I was like, do you recommend it? Like, okay, like I'll go check it out. It could be something else we could talk about. I wanted to relate to him. So I was like, okay, I'll go pick up this game and I'll see what it's about. Ended up falling in love with it. I actually checked. We were friends on the Switch. And when I hit like 1,000 hours, I think he was at 155 hours. And I was
Oh
like,
my
okay, so
goodness.
one of us definitely became more obsessed with New
Yeah.
Horizons, and it was not him. But yeah, so a friend in that Discord server made a passing comment about how since I put so much time into my island, I might as well post about it. Like I could post pictures on my
Mm-hmm.
Instagram and people would probably like it. And Instagram was probably the hardest platform to grow on because I came to it pretty late in term
Mm-hmm.
like at the time. Like I said, it's just like with YouTube. It felt like I was coming to it late. Like I didn't go in the heyday, in March and
Mm-hmm.
April. I didn't make my account until May, which feels hilarious now because people are still,
Making
just
content.
joining
Yeah.
the Instagram community. But I was like, wow, I'm so late. Like I'll never be able to grow as a creator. And I didn't even consider it then as a possibility. Like I was just joining because I was like, yeah, this will be another place to find friends and like maybe I'll inspire a few people or people will like trade with me on Nookazon. This will be great. And then just as I went, I mean, it's just like I said, I didn't have any ulterior motives to talk to
Mm-hmm.
people. I was just hanging out in the community and slowly I noticed that my numbers were starting to grow. I remember actually eventually I became, I was like, okay, I would think I would like to grow this Instagram account. And I remember the first time that one of the repost accounts, one of the really big ones that has like
Mm-hmm.
99,000 followers or something, I remember that they posted one of my builds to their story. It wasn't even like a repost, just shared it on their story. And when that post hit 250 likes, I cried. I was like,
Aw.
oh my God, like people like my content. And that's hilarious because it's this goes back to what you were talking about like numbers anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I've seen 250 likes in an hour and been like, oh God, people hate this post.
Oh.
Just like comparatively with,
Mm-hmm.
the kind of stats that I see now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lesson in perspective. I cried about it in a good
Mm-hmm.
way, like an
Yeah.
excited cry versus being anxious about only getting that much. It's been a wild ride,
Oh,
but
I
I
bet.
love Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
It has its ups and downs, like any platform. Like I definitely feel I don't know, like I wouldn't post casual stuff on there because I feel like people have higher standards somehow.
It's
And
more
I know that's
artful.
silly
Yeah.
too because there are so many memes and things.
Mm-hmm.
People, post just random stuff all the time. But yeah, I feel a lot more pressure there when I'm
Mm-hmm.
posting to make something aesthetically pleasing and also relatable somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I definitely recommend it as a platform. Like I had a lot of fun growing my platform there before I started YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that the other platforms like Reddit, Twitter, Instagram kind of funnel into the focus for YouTube? Um, like financially, I don't know how like you can monetize Instagram. I don't know if you can, and obviously you can't do it for Reddit, and I don't think you can do it for Twitter either because, as you said, it's kind of a dumpster fire right now. But how I feel that there's this technique that you've developed with cross-platforming where one it's networking and making friends, which isn't a technique, it's just you being a delightful human being. But how has picking and choosing what content you share on these various platforms outside of YouTube impacted the content you make on YouTube?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I guess so. First of all, my different platforms, people ask me sometimes, like, oh my God, like, how did you get so many followers on Twitter? Like, I have so many on Instagram, but the conversion is like zero. I've shared my Twitter and no one's following me there.
Mm-hmm.
I think what a lot of people get wrong is that they assume because people follow them on one platform, they're
Mm-hmm.
going to enjoy their content on another. And that's just not the case.
Mm.
First of all, like I said, there are different people on these different
Mm-hmm.
platforms. So even though there's going to be some crossover, like everyone I follow knows that I have, an Instagram, a YouTube, a Twitter, etc. And I'll usually follow all of my mutuals on all of those.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of your followers are going to care if if they follow you on Instagram, they don't care about what you're tweeting on Twitter. That's just like how it is. I mean, I don't follow, every single content creator. I'm talking like big content creators like I don't know, like Mr. Beast. If I
Mm-hmm.
follow him on YouTube, that doesn't mean I'm going to care about whatever he's doing on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same for every single person. Not everyone is going to want to follow you elsewhere. I think the trick is literally, I mean, it's not even a trick. you just have to cater your content to whatever that platform expects. I grew my Twitter
Mm.
because I'm funny there. I
You are
post,
very
you
funny.
know,
You were
memes and
hilarious.
things. I
Yeah.
post whatever I'm thinking at the time. Versus on
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, I'm gonna post, my more impressive builds, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
On YouTube, I'm posting, whatever video. You
Mm-hmm.
you have to think about them as separate before they can funnel into each other. Like now I post I feel like I'm not breathing. Hold on.
It's okay.
So I post my YouTube video links on my Instagram story and on Twitter. Because at this point, I'm like, a lot of people know that I am a content creator,
Yeah.
regardless of what platform they follow me on. And I do get, some conversion there, like some people on Twitter who will go to my video, some people on Instagram who will go to
Mm-hmm.
my video. But overall, I just consider them separate things. I don't have expectations, between them. I know that it's different audiences, even if a lot of them are the same people. I'm not targeting the same exact type of content with each thing.
Yeah, that is a really great tip that even I'm still learning, and I didn't consider, is that not everyone's going to follow and be, obsessively following your various content, because I'm rarely on Instagram these days, but I think my favorite Twitter post that you did recently was something revolving what you can gift your favorite Animal Crossing player, and it was like literally anything Nintendo, any update would be great.
I mean, that's what I want
uh,
personally, so
I completely and totally agree. So your content is, I think, almost entirely Animal Crossing right now, I believe, right? Is that correct?
yes, I've made a couple of videos here and there for different games. Like here
Mm-hmm.
recently, I've made 2 videos for Disney Dreamlight.
Mm-hmm.
Literally 99.9% of my videos are Animal
Yeah.
Crossing, and like all of my Instagram posts are Animal Crossing.
So, I know that within the last couple of months, just our content creator friends have been experiencing financial anxiety in a way that I don't know if they had either anticipated or they had hoped for a longer lifespan for Animal Crossing New Horizons updates for the game. I'm trying to think of how to ask this question, in the sense of, like, are you planning on playing, like, keeping Animal Crossing New Horizons your main focus until the next game comes out? Is there a contingency plan for other games to feature on Let's Play if the trends for Animal Crossing kind of teeters out?
I would love to expand my content. I've mentioned this in a few videos before, and I have seen success. Like with my first Dreamlight Valley video, a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
watched it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like maybe this is possible. Because previously, I've only posted a couple of other games. I made one Kirby video, and by my normal standards, it tanked, but that's what I was expecting. People follow
Mm-hmm.
me, or the people who follow me now are here for Animal Crossing, for the things that I've done in Animal Crossing. I don't expect them. It's just like when you do cross-platform. I don't expect them to care about, my take on a game that they might not even play.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that, and I'm trying to work around it, but I would definitely love to play other things because I know that people see me as an Animal Crossing content creator, but I mean, the truth is that I don't play Animal Crossing as much as I play some other games now because Animal Crossing is an older game, and
Mm-hmm.
I play Dreamlight Valley more than I play Animal Crossing. I play Call of Duty even more than I
That's
play Animal
amazing.
Crossing these days. And so it's like people don't see me that way, but I don't just play this game, and I would love to share, my other interests. Maybe not Call of Duty. I don't see myself making any content around that.
Mm-hmm.
But I do like to feature, new indie releases, things like that. Like I'd
Mm-hmm.
like to make a Harvestella video soon, probably, maybe a
Yeah.
potion permit video. I just want to share the other things that I'm playing because, I think that other players of Animal Crossing could come to enjoy them. I think there's a reason that so many games go viral within the Animal Crossing niche
Mm-hmm.
community. It's because there are a lot of games that appeal to a lot of us. So I think the same could be true for my channel.
Yeah, Coral Island and Cult of the Lamb are my two side favorites. I feel like I'm cheating on Animal Crossing, to be honest, because of how much I love
I
those
would
games.
love to play Coral Island just because of all the videos I've seen about how
Lex,
everyone that's dateable is hot.
you need to
I'm
get it
down. Like,
so
I'm
bad.
there.
I mean, and
I do
also,
need to get it.
yeah, there's all, if you've played Stardew Valley, right?
Yes, I have. I love
Oh,
Stardew Valley.
girl, you will love it. It has the similar mechanics and the similar vibes to it, but I do feel it's an entirely different game, and it's so relaxing to clean up like the ocean reef. It's just amazing. So anyway, got off topic, but Lex, I think we are nearing the end. I have like two questions that I want to ask you before we finish. Was there any question within this conversation around financial stability that wasn't asked that you would like to mention and answer? And then we'll finish with the who do you want to see on Gamers Gab after.
I don't think there are any other questions that I'd like to address, but I will say for any of you who are financially struggling, it is worth pursuing creative things. It is worth it, even if not for the money, for your mental health. Like I said, YouTube has been such a good influence on not just my mental health, but on me as a person. And that can be true for, any creative outlet. And it is worth taking the time to let yourself do that.
That's amazing. Lex, I did not know what to expect from this conversation, and my jaw is still literally on the floor by the impact that you have not only left on the Animal Crossing community with your amazing, vibrant energy, but the fact that you've literally just you were able to provide that level of stability for your family until they could get back on their feet. Like that is truly amazing. Oh, I had a question that may or may not be too personal, but and it doesn't. We don't have to make it like super personal. I'm gonna probably edit this part out.
No,
but
yeah, you're good.
So
Shoot.
I remember that you had. I feel like there is this financial like. There's this expectation within the community for content creators to explain their finances. And I remember that you had that happen to you. And I wonder if there is a way that as content creators, especially starting out, because I know that when I started making comics, I was trying to like prove to people that I needed the money, right? Whereas, you're doing work and therefore you should be compensated. How have you established boundaries about your finances with your community and with your channel? That's a question I wanted to ask.
So luckily, not many people have ever, made comments or asked questions about it in an invasive way. Like I can tell when people are just genuinely curious, or, people have asked me, do you think that YouTube could be viable for me as a job? And the answer is that I just don't know. It depends on the type of content you make. I can't predict how the algorithm is going to treat anyone else's content because I don't even know how it's going to treat
What is the
mine.
algorithm? Yeah,
So
I know.
like usually it's questions like that. It's not me, but like, Lex, could I do this? That's most of the financial questions that I get. I have had people in the past be disrespectful about it. It's like the whole thing about the idea that poor people can't have iPhones. It's like that argument. Whenever I was explaining that I was in poverty, people are like, it's funny because that tweet says sent from iPhone. And I'm like, yeah, I got $6,000 in my first month. You're not going to believe this, but I bought myself a gift with it. Isn't that so selfish of me?
Imagine people finally having the ability to afford things that is actually a basic need these days. Like you have to have a smartphone.
I know.
Wow.
So
wow.
It's been pretty rare when I've felt like people were either being disrespectful or being invasive. It just hasn't happened very much. So I luckily haven't had to like go through like actively having to establish a boundary or like make a video or something about it. Luckily people have been pretty cool about it so far. I mean, I don't know how I would prove, what I've been through financially, but it's been pretty okay so far.
That's something that I really hope that when people are trying, that they're moving from, say, making content as like for fun, or they're starting to gain momentum and are trying to figure out what finances what finances mean for them, you know, in their channel, is that establishing a boundary where you don't owe people, unless it's like a Kickstarter, right? Like, or if you are doing a Ko-fi for something specific, that you really don't owe people the explanation of where your finances go. Like, if you want to use all of your finances to buy Squishmallows, you buy those freaking Squishmallows with absolute abandon. If you need it for bills for the next month, that's fine. But I think it's really interesting from the perspective where you had achieved financial stability so almost immediate, that there seems to be this explanation that, well, you know, someone who's come from poverty, or I'm always amazed that there aren't more conversations about how that in between stage from living in poverty to having some financial stability to being defined as financially stable. And so that was one of the main reasons why I was really looking forward to having this conversation with you, is the psychological and mental impact of that. So thank you for asking that question, or answering that question. So the last thing, Lex, by the way, friends, if you are not following Lex on all of the platforms, amazing content, amazing person through and through, and I will provide all of the information. I'm just calling it like I sees it. So please be sure to follow Lex, you know, do what you can to support all the amazing content creators that have made this community so great. And the final question, perhaps the most important question to answer, is that, is there a content creator that you would like to see on Gamers Gab, and what would the topic be?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I literally could just ask her. She's my friend, but I always wonder 100% of the time. I'm like, Console Kato, how do you balance your like work with your life? Because she's not only, you know, a YouTuber, she's also employed. She has a job aside from that. And she's a mom. I mean, and a wife. That's like another role. Like she has so many things that she's balancing. I just want to know how. That's it. I want Kato to come on here and tell me how she's doing it.
How is she just a majestic being?
And I'm just doing YouTube. I don't have a husband, don't have a child. It's just me and my cat and my YouTube channel, and I get stressed out. So I just want to know. I don't know if you ever heard this story. I always thought that Kato and EJ were the same age. So for reference, EJ is in his late 20s, and I thought that Kato was of a similar like age range. And so I come to find that not only is Kato not in her late 20s, that she's like a month older than me, and I was just floored. I was like, and here I thought that you were just a younger person that had their shiz together, and I still feel unworthy to be in her presence sometimes. I just thought it was a fun time. So no, I went so long thinking that Kato was like 27. I don't know, I knew that she like had a kid and all, but I was like, Kato's like 27 years old. And then
thank you.
I told her that one time, and she was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, my bad.
Well, I'm really glad that it's not just me. I'm really glad that she just has late 20s energy. I love that. I'm glad that it wasn't just me that had that opinion. But
yeah, anyway. It's because she's so hip. She's so trendy.
She's so hip. Yes, I agree. Well, Lex, thank you so much for joining me for Gamers Gab. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And I hope you had a fun time being on here. It was just a delight to get to know you better.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. It's been an honor. I was like kind of nervous about it. I was like, what if I'm
you're gonna be great.
Not good at talking on a pod? Because like I forget to breathe when I'm like talking to people.
Honestly, same.
I just while I'm talking forget that I'm supposed to also be drawing air in. So I was like, I'm gonna do that on the podcast, but it's okay. If I sound a little winded at some point, that's my bad.
Oh my God. No, it's okay. It's all right. Like I do that too. So it's fine. But Lex, again, thank you so much. We are going to end it here. And everyone, as I said, be sure to follow all the things. And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.